Hello everyone, my name is Amos from Symmetry Acoustics. Today's video, we want to keep it very basic. It's all about acoustic foam and how to install it, and also it's about the counterpart to acoustic foam, that is the broadband, they call them bass traps, foam based. So let's get to it. What I have here is acoustic foam panels. They seem to be very common. Wase wengi wanapenda sana, wase wanaanza studio wanapenda hizi foam sana. They really like them. Some of them don't even like the fabric panels that you guys like so much, or even the hybrid ones. They like acoustic panels, maybe because of the aesthetic value or something like that. So this video is specifically for those who would wish to use acoustic foam, either in their podcasts or in their small home studios for a start. Now, before we proceed with the installation, or how to the guide to installation, let's check out how the room should look, or room layout for that matter, because now that will let us know where to install acoustic foam with reference to monitor positioning and maybe table setup and things like that. Now, these are room. This is how the basic room most home studio look like. You can see from the diagram there. It's a small room. Let's talk about maybe 10 feet by 12 feet or something like that. Most, because a lot of us, we have these studios in spare bedrooms, a lot of us. So let's use that as a maybe a benchmark, because it's a common dimension for most home studios that we work in. Now, as we have seen how the room looks like, let's get to positioning on the panels. Now, before we start, we need to map out which one is the first reflection points. And the first reflection points means the points from which the strongest reflection come from before they come to your ears. So as you can see this diagram here, the first reflection point is, you can use the mirror, this indicated here, and then we have the right speaker and the left speaker. Those two parts that you see here that I've highlighted are first reflection points, and that is if the speaker is firing backwards. And also we have behind the speakers is also a part that we need to consider when placing panels. And then we have the rear wall behind us, because now after taking care of the first reflection points, behind the wall behind us also will be reflecting some noise or some sound signal to us. So we need to take care of all those. Now, after mapping out the positioning, now let's look for the most appropriate adhesive. Tutafute ile adhesive nzuri yenye haitatusumbua when we want to install the foam. Now, we have different types of adhesives. We have this one is called silicone, used mainly in construction work. We have contour adhesive. Mnajua contour is very common kwa wale wanatengeneza viatu. You know that foam. And then we have this one here. This is what I prefer, and this is what I want to show you how to use it. This is a glue gun. Now, this glue gun is an electronic device. It's very straightforward. This is how it works. Before we proceed, now this glue gun comes with this. This is a glue stick. Now this glue stick is, you can push it through this nozzle here, and then after plugging this thing into the electricity and switch it on, it will start to hit this this glue here. And after a few minutes, the glue will be very hot and liquefied. Then you can just push. It's kind of a trigger. You can push this one to eject the glue through the nozzle here. Now what happens is that as you push the glue, it will be transferred to the surface where you want to stick it to. So let's say you want to stick it, you want to stick this foam, you just apply glue on only 4 corners. And by the way, this glue is very hot, because this gun here is 300 watts. So it's very hot, so you need to be very careful when using it, otherwise itakutoa ngozi. It's very hot. Now after installing, after putting the patches, this glue dries in less than 5 seconds. So you need to map out and position the area very nicely, so that you don't waste time holding it or searching where to put it. You just put the glue 4 corners only, and then stick it immediately where you need it to be. So that's how you install this one. If it's ceiling, then on the ceiling you do the same thing, but because of gravity, force of gravity, you put on 4 corners and then 1 at the center. And then very quickly you just hold it on the ceiling where you need it to be for a few seconds, and then that's it. Now the advantage of using this kind of glue is that, unlike other kind of glue, especially contour, you want to tumia contour in a scenario where they apply the whole surface with the contour and then they stick on the wall. Now the problem with that is that contour it's kind of a very permanent glue. So when you try to install this foam, it will be damaged. Either it will be left on the wall, and a lot of it, the mass will be reduced, because now it will leave a very ugly patch at the back. Now the mass of the foam is reduced, and the performance obviously is reduced. Now that's the advantage of using this one, because it's easy to uninstall. During installation, just pluck the four corners. You can use a razor blade just on the four corners, and then it's back to as brand as new, as new. Now, let's get to how to install the larger counterparts. The larger counterparts, these are, I would call them the large brothers to this form. Now, this form, they come in pairs. When packaged, they look something like this. How you've seen them, it comes like this. So these are pair of broadband absorber. So these broadband absorbers, they work in a slightly different manner, because as these ones work all the way to probably 500 hertz, where a lot of absorption occurs from 500 hertz towards the high frequencies. They also work slightly low, below 500, but not so much absorption occurs there with this 2-inch form. Unless you make it thicker, maybe 4 inches, then you'll be able to get very decent absorption below 500. Now, that's where these guys come in, because now this one work up to 500 hertz. These guys will pick it from 500 hertz all the way to 250, in some cases 125 hertz. And that is good for maybe if you're doing vocals, or if you're on budget and you have a hybrid room. Hybrid is a room where you use for both mixing and mastering. You can use these guys here. They are designed to be mounted on corners, as you can see the design work. So the process is the same. Apply on 4 corners and probably the center. 4 corners, apply, and probably the center. Just a reasonable amount of glue, and then very quickly stick it on the corner. Few seconds, it's stuck there, and also it will be very easy to uninstall and reuse many times. So they're designed, you can use them depending on your budget. They can go all the way down, maybe 4 per corner, 3 per corner, depending with your budget. Now, that's how they are installed. So I hope those who are wondering how these things are installed, stop using wrong kind of glues to install the acoustic foam, because you want to reuse them. You don't want to buy acoustic foam every time you move, because they are destroyed while uninstalling. So that's how these acoustic foam are installed. Hope this helps. Thank you guys for watching.